Captain Han Wu stared at the readings on his screen and rubbed his tired eyes. The numbers made no sense. Energy signatures this massive should not exist in empty space, yet here they were, 3 star systems away from Earth's furthest colony, detecting something that defied every law of physics he knew. "Captain, you need to see this," called Dr. Park Soo-jin from her station. Her voice carried a worry that made Han Wu's stomach tighten. Soo-jin never worried about anything. She was the kind of scientist who got excited about dangerous anomalies instead of frightened. Han Wu pushed himself up from his command chair and walked across the small bridge of the meteor's edge. The exploration ship was not built for comfort. Every surface served a purpose, every space maximized for efficiency. They had been out here for 6 months, mapping unknown sectors and cataloging new phenomena. It was supposed to be routine work. "What am I looking at?" Han Wu asked as he leaned over Soo-jin's shoulder to study her displays. "Energy readings unlike anything in our databases," Soo-jin said, her fingers dancing across the controls. "The signatures are artificial, definitely technological, but the power levels are—" She paused, rechecking her calculations. "Captain, these readings suggest technology that could crack planets in half." Lieutenant Kim Tae-ho looked up from the weapons console. "Could be some kind of stellar engineering project. Maybe an advanced civilization building a Dyson sphere." Engineer Choi Bo-ram shook her head from her position at the quantum drive controls. "The energy patterns are wrong for construction. These look more like—" She hesitated, not wanting to voice her suspicion. "Like what?" Han Wu prompted. "Like weapon signatures, sir. Very, very large weapons." The bridge fell silent except for the soft hum of life support systems. Han Wu felt a chill run down his spine. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the galaxy. They had found traces of ancient civilizations, ruins on dead worlds, but never anything active, never anything alive. "How far away?" Han Wu asked. 17 light hours, Soo-jin replied. "Close enough to investigate with our quantum drives, but far enough away that we should be safe from detection." Han Wu made his decision quickly. That was his way. Years of deep space exploration had taught him that hesitation killed crews faster than any natural phenomenon. "Plot a course. Take us in slowly, maximum stealth protocols. I want to know what we're looking at before it knows we're looking." The meteor's edge changed course with barely a vibration through the hull. Choi Bo-ram's quantum drives were works of art, propelling them through folded spacetime without creating the energy spikes that older, faster-than-light systems produced. If there was something out there, they would approach like ghosts. 3 hours later, they dropped out of quantum flight at the edge of the anomaly zone. What they saw made everyone on the bridge gasp in shock and terror. War. Pure, devastating, unimaginable war. 2 massive fleets faced each other across the void between solar systems. Each fleet contained hundreds of ships, but these were not ships as humans understood them. Some vessels were the size of small moons, crystalline structures that caught and reflected the light of nearby stars like deadly prisms. Others were organic-looking masses of metal and flesh, writhing and pulsing as if they were alive. "My God," whispered Soo-jin. "How long has this been going on?" The battlefield told the story. Debris fields stretched across light years, the remains of countless previous battles. Dead worlds drifted in the void, their surfaces scarred and burned. Entire asteroid belts had been converted into weapons platforms. This was not a recent conflict. This was ancient war on a scale that hurt to contemplate. "Captain," Kim Tae-ho said, his voice barely steady, "I'm detecting energy weapons powerful enough to boil Earth's oceans, and they're firing them constantly. Look at those power readings." Han Wu watched the displays in horrified fascination. Beams of pure energy lanced between the fleets, each shot carrying enough force to destroy a city. When they struck the crystalline ships, the impacts created brief stars that blazed and died in seconds. When they hit the organic vessels, sections of living metal screamed and died, falling away into space. "The organic ships," Soo-jin observed, "they're regenerating, growing back the damaged sections. And the crystal ships are reforming themselves from available matter. These fleets have been fighting so long they've evolved to sustain permanent warfare." Choi Bo-ram was scanning the debris fields with growing amazement. "Captain, some of this wreckage is old. Really old. I'm detecting isotope decay patterns that suggest this battle has been going on for hundreds of thousands of years." "That's impossible," Kim Tae-ho protested.
"No civilization could sustain warfare for that long. Unless," Soo-jin said quietly,
Warfare is all they remember how to do. Han Wu absorbed this information while watching the cosmic battle unfold before them. He had commanded exploration vessels for 15 years. He had seen wonders and terrors across dozens of star systems, but nothing had prepared him for this. Two alien civilizations locked in eternal combat, neither able to achieve victory, neither willing to accept defeat. Are they aware of us? Han Wu asked. Choi Bo-ram checked her instruments. Negative, Captain. We're running silent and they seem completely focused on each other. I don't think they even scan for outside interference anymore. Why would they? This war is older than human civilization. Han Wu made another command decision. We need more data. Take us closer but stay well outside their engagement range. I want detailed scans of both fleets, their technology, their tactics, everything. Humanity needs to know about this. As the meteor's edge crept closer to the ancient battlefield, the true scope of the conflict became clear. This was not just war between two species. This was war between two different approaches to existence itself. The crystalline vessels represented pure order, perfect geometric forms that transformed matter into structured beauty before weaponizing it. The organic ships embodied controlled chaos, biological systems that adapted and evolved in real time to meet every threat. It's like watching the universe fight itself, Sujin murmured. Han Wu nodded grimly. They had stumbled onto something that would change humanity's understanding of the galaxy forever. But first, they had to survive long enough to report it. Because deep in his gut, Han Wu knew that their presence here would not remain secret for much longer. In the vast darkness of space, between two fleets that had forgotten everything except how to kill each other, a small human ship continued its approach toward destiny. The moment Han Wu feared most came without warning. Both alien fleets stopped firing at exactly the same instant. After witnessing hours of continuous battle, the sudden silence felt like a physical weight, pressing down on the bridge of the meteor's edge. Warning lights began flashing across every console as targeting systems from both fleets locked onto their small ship. Captain, Kim Taeho's voice cracked slightly. We have incoming transmissions. Multiple sources. They've definitely seen us. Put it through, Han Wu ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. He had trained for first contact scenarios, but never like this. Never while caught between two warring civilizations that had been killing each other since before humans learned to make fire. The main screen split into two sections. On the left appeared a being of living crystal, its form constantly shifting and reforming like a geometric kaleidoscope. Light passed through its transparent body, creating patterns that hurt to look at directly. On the right, something that might have once been organic writhed and pulsed, metal grafted onto flesh in ways that defied biology. Unknown vessel, the crystal being spoke, its voice like wind chimes in a hurricane. You have entered the sacred war zone between the Velthans and the corrupt Karathi. Identify your allegiance immediately or face obliteration. Before Han Wu could respond, the organic creature interrupted with a voice like grinding gears mixed with screaming. Tiny meat ship, you will choose the glory of the Karathi collective or become raw material for our bioforges. The crystal parasites offer only cold death. We offer eternal life within the swarm. Dr. Park Soo-jin quickly activated her xenobiology protocols, recording every detail of both species while running preliminary compatibility assessments. Her readings made her blood run cold. These beings were so fundamentally different from each other that peaceful coexistence seemed impossible. More disturbing, they were both far beyond humanity in terms of raw technological power. Captain, she whispered urgently, both species register as galaxy-class civilizations. Their individual ships have more firepower than Earth's entire space fleet. Han Wu stepped forward, knowing that his next words might determine the fate of his crew, and potentially all of humanity. I am Captain Han Wu of the human vessel Meteor's Edge. We are explorers from a distant region, seeking knowledge and peaceful contact with other civilizations. The crystal being, who identified itself as Admiral Vaex Kree, shifted into a more angular configuration. Humans? We have no record of this species in our archives. How long have you existed as a spacefaring civilization? Approximately 200 years, Han Wu replied honestly. Both aliens reacted with what could only be described as contempt. The Karathi entity, calling itself Hive Mind Node Gorath, emitted a sound like laughter mixed with static. Infants! Barely evolved beyond your birth mud. You understand nothing of the great war that shapes the galaxy. Admiral Vax Kree's crystal form brightened with irritation. Yet these infants have developed quantum drives sophisticated enough to penetrate our combat zone undetected. Their stealth technology is adequate. We're not here to fight, Hanwoo said quickly. We're here to learn. How long has this war been going on? The Karathi corruption began 800,000 years ago when they rejected the pure path of crystal evolution, Admiral Vax Kree replied. They chose the chaos of biological integration over the perfection of mineral consciousness. We have been purging this infection ever since. Node Gorath's biomechanical form pulsed angrily. Lies. The crystal tyrants sought to impose their rigid death structures on free-flowing life. We were forced to defend the sacred principles of adaptation and growth. They would turn the entire galaxy into lifeless geometric sculptures. Dr. Su Jin was frantically analyzing the historical data embedded in both transmissions. What she discovered made her grab Hanwoo's arm. Captain, the genetic and mineral traces in their technology suggest these species share a common origin point. They're not natural enemies. Something split them apart. Engineer Choi Bo-ram had been quietly scanning both fleets during the conversation. Her findings were equally disturbing. Sir, I'm detecting resource depletion patterns across multiple star systems. These fleets have consumed entire worlds to sustain their war effort. They're strip mining the galaxy to keep fighting. Lieutenant Kim Tae-ho studied the tactical displays with growing alarm. Captain, both fleets have us in a perfect crossfire. If we try to run, we'll be destroyed before we can engage quantum drives. If we stay, we have to choose a side in a war we don't understand. Admiral Vax Kree's patience was clearly running thin. Small humans, you have witnessed the eternal struggle. You must choose. Join the Valthans in bringing order to chaos, or be eliminated as Karathi sympathizers. Node Gorath's response was equally demanding. The Bio-Collective offers integration and purpose. Your primitive biology shows potential for improvement. Refuse our gift and become fuel for our war machines. Hanwoo felt the weight of an impossible decision. Choose the crystal beings and potentially condemn humanity to rigid conformity. Choose the biomechanical swarm and risk losing human identity entirely. Refuse both and face immediate destruction. We need time to consider such a significant decision, Hanwoo said carefully. Surely 800,000 years of war allows for 48 hours of discussion. Both aliens seemed surprised by the request. They had apparently grown so accustomed to instant battle that the concept of deliberation was foreign. 48 hours, Admiral Vax Kree agreed after a long pause. Then you choose or you die. Use this time wisely, young species. Node Gorath's biomechanical mass writhed in agreement. The collective is patient. We will wait for your inevitable recognition of our superiority. The transmissions ended, leaving the bridge of the meteor's edge in tense silence. Hanwoo looked at his crew, seeing his own fear reflected in their faces. They had stumbled into a conflict that predated human civilization by hundreds of thousands of years, and now they were being forced to pick sides in a war they barely comprehended. Options? Hanwoo asked his senior staff. Running isn't really an option, Kim Tae-ho admitted. Both fleets have us bracketed. We'd be debris before we could jump to quantum speed. Fighting is suicide, Choi Bo-ram added. Their smallest ships outgun us by several orders of magnitude. Dr. Su Jin was still analyzing the xenobiological data. There has to be another way. Wars don't last 800,000 years without a reason. Something is sustaining this conflict beyond simple hatred or resource competition. What kind of something? Hanwoo asked. I don't know yet, Su Jin admitted. But both species show signs of technological stagnation. They're not innovating anymore, just refining existing weapons and defenses. It's like they're trapped in a pattern they can't break. Hanwoo stared at the tactical display showing the two massive fleets holding position around his tiny ship. Somewhere in the vast complexity of this ancient war, there had to be a solution that didn't involve choosing between two forms of potential extinction for humanity. We have 48 hours, he said finally. Let's use them wisely. Hour 16 of their 48-hour deadline, and Dr. Park Soo-jin had not slept once. Her eyes burned as she stared at streams of data flowing across multiple screens. But she refused to rest. Somewhere in the technological signatures of both alien fleets lay the key to humanity's survival. The quantum resonance patterns are identical, she muttered to herself for the 100th time. How can two completely different technologies produce identical quantum signatures? Engineer Choi Bo-ram looked up from her own analysis station. Despite her exhaustion, she had been running continuous deep scans of both fleets, trying to understand their propulsion and weapon systems. What did you say about quantum signatures? Both fleets, Sujin explained, rubbing her tired eyes. Their core technologies operate on exactly the same fundamental frequency. It's like finding two completely different musical instruments that can only play the same note. Commander Lee Dong-wook, the ship's strategic officer, had been quietly piecing together historical data from both species' transmissions. He was a patient man who specialized in finding patterns that others missed. Doctor, what if they're not different instruments at all? Sujin turned to face him. What do you mean? I've been analyzing the linguistic and cultural data embedded in their communications, Lee Dong-wook said, bringing up his findings on the main screen. Both species use similar base mathematical concepts, similar spatial orientations, even similar artistic preferences in their ship designs. These aren't random evolutionary developments. They're inherited traits. Captain Han Wu joined the discussion, having spent most of his time trying to find military solutions to their impossible situation. You're suggesting they're related? More than related, Lee Dong-wook said with growing excitement. I think they're the same species split into two parts. Look at this linguistic analysis. The Velthun word for home is Velkari. The Karathi word for origin is Karveli. It's the same root word, just reversed. Choi Bo-ram was suddenly alert despite her fatigue. That would explain the quantum resonance patterns. If they originated from the same technological base, their fundamental frequencies would be identical even if their applications diverged over time. But how do two parts of the same species become so different that they've been trying to exterminate each other for 800,000 years? Lieutenant Kim Tae-ho asked from his station. Dr. Sujin was already running new analyses based on this revelation. What if the split wasn't natural? What if something forced them apart, made them incompatible on a fundamental level? Her scans of the battlefield debris revealed something extraordinary. Mixed in with the wreckage of countless battles were fragments of much older technology, designs that showed characteristics of both Veltan crystal engineering and Karathi biomechanics. But these ancient pieces were different. They were integrated, harmonious. Crystal and organic components working together instead of fighting each other. I'm finding evidence of apparent civilization, Sujin announced, something that combined both technologies. The crystals provided structure and longevity, while the biomechanics provided adaptability and growth. Together they would have been incredibly powerful. What happened to them? Han Wu asked. Choi Bo-ram was analyzing the quantum signatures of the ancient fragments. Captain, I'm detecting traces of a massive quantum disruption event, something that happened approximately 800,000 years ago. The energy signatures suggest an experimental accident of enormous proportions. An accident that split one species into two incompatible parts, Lee Dong-wook concluded. They've been fighting each other ever since because they literally can't coexist anymore. Their technologies have been designed to be mutually destructive. Han Wu felt a spark of hope for the first time since this crisis began. If they were originally one species, then theoretically they could become one again. Theoretically, Sujin agreed cautiously. But the quantum lock that keeps them separate has had 800,000 years to solidify. Breaking it would require a massive intervention at exactly the right frequency. Choi Bo-ram was already running calculations on her quantum drive systems. Our harmonic resonance array might be able to generate the necessary frequencies. We use quantum harmonics for navigation, to sync with local space-time conditions. If we could amplify the signal and broadcast it at the exact frequency that bridges their quantum gap, we could remind them what they used to be. Han Wu finished. Kim Tae-ho looked skeptical. That's assuming they want to remember. 800,000 years of hatred is a lot to overcome. But think about it, Sujin said with growing excitement. Why haven't either side won this war? With their level of technology and commitment, one should have destroyed the other completely by now. Unless, on some deep level, they can't bring themselves to truly destroy their other half. Lee Dong-wook nodded thoughtfully. The war might be their way of trying to reconnect. They're constantly engaging with each other, constantly studying each other's tactics and technology. It's the only form of communication they have left. So how do we break the lock? Han Wu asked. Choi Bo-ram brought up a schematic of the ship's quantum systems. We'd need to position ourselves between both fleets and broadcast the harmonic frequency that connects their quantum signatures. But there's a problem. To generate a signal strong enough to affect both fleets simultaneously, we'd have to overload our quantum drives. The power requirements would leave us dead in space. And that's assuming both fleets don't destroy us the moment we start broadcasting an unknown signal, Kim Tae-ho added grimly. There's another problem, Sujin said quietly. If we're wrong about this, if they really are just two species that hate each other, then we'll have revealed our position for nothing. They'll destroy us and continue their war. Han Wu studied the tactical display showing the two massive fleets holding position around his tiny ship. The weight of the decision pressed down on him. Risk everything on a theory that two warring civilizations were really one broken species trying to find its way home, or choose a side in an ancient war and hope humanity could survive the consequences. How long would we need, Han Wu asked, to charge the array and broadcast at full power? Choi Bo-ram calculated quickly. Maybe 15 minutes of continuous operation. We'd be completely defenseless during that time. And both fleets would be firing at us, Kim Tae-ho pointed out. Not necessarily, Lee Dong-wook said thoughtfully. If our theory is correct, if they really are two halves of the same whole, then our signal might confuse their targeting systems. Their weapons are designed to destroy each other's technology. If we're broadcasting a frequency that makes us register as both Velthan and Karathi simultaneously, they might not be able to lock onto us. That's a lot of maybes and mights, Han Wu observed. Sujin met his eyes. Captain, in 12 hours we have to choose between joining one of these fleets or being destroyed. This might be the only option that doesn't end with humanity becoming part of an 800,000-year-old war. Han Wu looked around at his crew. They were explorers, not warriors. They had signed up to discover new worlds and contact peaceful civilizations, not to end galactic wars or make impossible choices that could affect the entire galaxy. But sometimes explorers had to do more than explore. All right, Han Wu said finally. We try the harmonic broadcast. But we do it smart. Kim, I want you ready to target both fleet commanders with everything we have. If this goes wrong, we take them with us. Choi, prepare the quantum array, but don't power it up until I give the word. Sujin, keep monitoring both fleets for any sign they're catching on to what we're planning. And then, Lee Dong-wook asked, then we find out if two halves of a broken civilization remember how to be whole. Captain Han Wu stood on the bridge of the meteor's edge and made the most important announcement in human history. Open all channels, he ordered. Both fleets. The split screen showed Admiral Vaex Kree and hive mind Node Gorath waiting for humanity's decision. Both alien leaders expected to gain either a new ally or fresh target practice. Neither expected what Han Wu was about to tell them. Admiral Vaex Kree. Node Gorath. After careful consideration, humanity has made its choice. Han Wu took a deep breath. We choose neither side. We choose to end this war. The silence that followed was deafening. Then both aliens began speaking at once, their voices mixing into an angry cacophony of threats and disbelief. Han Wu cut the transmission and turned to his crew. You know what to do. Choi, begin charging the quantum array. Kim, weapons ready. Sujin, monitor their fleet movements. Everyone else, hang on tight. The meteor's edge turned toward the space between both fleets and began accelerating. On the tactical display, warning indicators began flashing as both the Vielthan crystal ships and Karathi biovessels powered up their weapons systems. For the first time in 800,000 years, they had a common target. Distance to optimal broadcast position? Han Wu asked. 40,000 kilometers and closing, Choi Bo-ram replied, sweat beading on her forehead as she monitored the quantum array's power buildup. Array at 30% charge. The first energy beams lanced across the void toward their ship. Kim Tae-ho threw the meteor's edge into evasive maneuvers, using every trick he had learned in 15 years of deep space piloting. Crystal beams and bioplasma bolts filled the space around them, each shot powerful enough to vaporize their ship instantly. 5 minutes elapsed. Lee Dong-wook announced, tracking their timeline. Both fleets are converging on our position. Dr. Sujin watched her displays with growing amazement. Captain, something strange is happening. Their targeting systems are having trouble locking onto us. Some shots are going wide even when they should be direct hits. The harmonic resonance, Choi Bo-ram said with excitement. Even at partial power, we're already starting to broadcast the frequency. Their weapons are getting confused about what we are. A massive crystal spear from Admiral Vaex Kree's flagship missed them by mere meters. the energy discharge lighting up the bridge like a miniature star. Immediately afterward, a biomechanical projectile from Node Gorath's command vessel flew past their port side, its living payload screaming as it died in the vacuum of space. 15 minutes, Hanwoo announced. How's our power looking? Array at 60% charge, Choi Bo-ram reported. But Captain, we're taking damage. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 7. Life support is holding, but barely. Kim Tae-ho spun the ship through a complex spiral pattern, threading between intersecting energy beams like a dancer avoiding raindrops. I can't keep this up forever. There are too many of them. You don't have to keep it up forever, Hanwoo replied. Just long enough. A direct hit from a Karathi acid cannon melted through their rear shielding. Alarms blared as sections of the ship vented atmosphere into space. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut automatically, sealing off the damaged areas. 25 minutes elapsed. Lee Dong-wook called out over the noise of failing systems. We're halfway there. Array at 80% charge, Choi Bo-ram announced. Captain, I'm detecting something. Both fleets are changing their formation. They're moving closer together. Sujin confirmed the reading. They're focusing their fire on us, but they're also closing the distance between each other. It's like our presence is drawing them together. 30 minutes, Hanwoo said. Status report. Hull integrity at 40%, Kim Tae-ho reported through gritted teeth. Main engines at 60% efficiency. We're bleeding atmosphere from multiple breaches, but we're still here, Hanwoo observed. Against all odds, we're still here. Another barrage of crystal spears and biomechanical projectiles filled the space around them. This time, several shots struck home. The meteor's edge shuddered under the impacts, throwing everyone against their restraints. 35 minutes, Lee Dong-wook announced. Captain, both fleet commanders are hailing us. Put them through, Hanwoo ordered. Admiral Vaix Kree's crystal form was blazing with fury. Cease this madness, humans. You cannot end what has existed since before your star was born. Node Gorath's biomechanical mass writhed with equal anger. Your primitive technology cannot comprehend the scope of our eternal struggle. Submit to integration or face complete dissolution. You're wrong, Hanwoo replied calmly. We understand your struggle better than you do. You're not enemies. You're family. Both aliens reacted with shock and rage, but Hanwoo cut the transmission before either could respond. 40 minutes, he announced. Choi power status? Array at 95% charge, she replied. Ready for full broadcast in 60 seconds. Both fleets are within optimal range, Sujin added. Captain, if this works, the harmonic resonance should reach every ship simultaneously. And if it doesn't work? Kim Tae-ho asked. Then we become the shortest footnote in galactic history, Hanwoo replied grimly. 45 minutes, Lee Dong-wook called out. 5 minutes to broadcast. The weapons fire around them was reaching impossible intensity. Both fleets had closed to point-blank range, their massive ships forming a sphere of destruction around the tiny human vessel. Crystal beams intersected with bioplasma streams, creating explosions that lit up the darkness like newborn stars. Hull integrity at 15%, Kim Tae-ho reported. Captain, we're not going to make it. Yes, we are, Hanwoo said firmly. Choi, begin the broadcast sequence. 46 minutes, Lee Dong-wook announced. Broadcasting in 3, 2, 1. Engineer Choi Bo-ram activated the quantum harmonic array at full power. The meteor's edge began broadcasting a signal that had not been heard in the galaxy for 800,000 years. It was the frequency of unity, the quantum signature of a civilization that had once combined crystal perfection with biological adaptability. The effect was immediate and profound. Both fleets stopped firing as if someone had thrown a switch. The harmonic resonance spread from ship to ship like a wave, carrying with it memories that had been locked away for nearly 1,000,000 years. 47 minutes, Lee Dong-wook said quietly. Both fleets they're just floating there. Dr. Sujin watched her readings with amazement. The quantum lock is breaking. I'm detecting harmonic convergence across both fleets. Their technologies are starting to recognize each other. 48 minutes, Lee Dong-wook announced. Captain, both fleet commanders are hailing us again. Put them through, Hanwoo ordered. This time, Admiral Vaix Kree and Node Gorath appeared on screen together, and for the first time in 800,000 years their images were not separated. The harmonic resonance was allowing them to share the same communication channel. What? Admiral Vaix Kree's crystal form was flickering, showing glimpses of organic components that had been hidden for millennia. How? Node Gorath's biomechanical mass was crystallizing in places, revealing geometric structures beneath the living metal. 49 minutes, Lee Dongwook said softly. Both alien leaders stared at each other as memories flooded back. Not their own memories, but genetic memories of their parent species, the Velkari. They remembered crystal gardens growing in biological soil. They remembered organic ships guided by mineral consciousness. They remembered being whole. 50 minutes, Lee Dongwook whispered. Admiral Vaex Kree and Node Gorath spoke in perfect unison, their voices harmonizing for the first time in 800,000 years. We remember. And across two massive fleets the same realization was spreading. The greatest war in galactic history ended not with victory, but with recognition. Not with conquest, but with reunion. The Meteor's edge drifted between the fleets, its hull breached and engines failing, but its crew intact. They had done the impossible. In 50 minutes of desperate flight, they had ended 800,000 years of war. Captain Han Wu slumped in his command chair, exhausted but alive. Around him, his crew worked to repair their damaged ship while monitoring the aftermath of their incredible gamble. Status report, Han Wu said wearily. Both fleets are powering down their weapons, Kim Tae-ho reported with disbelief. Captain, I think we actually did it. We reminded the galaxy how to remember, Dr. Sujin said softly. And in the space between two fleets that had forgotten they were one, a small human ship limped toward an uncertain but hopeful future. The silence that followed the end of 800,000 years of war was unlike anything the galaxy had ever experienced. Captain Han Wu floated in the emergency medical bay of the Meteor's edge, his ship's artificial gravity failing along with most other systems. Through the transparent aluminum viewport, he watched something that no being in the galaxy had witnessed for nearly 1,000,000 years. Felthan crystal ships and Karathi biovessels moving toward each other without weapons charged. Captain, Dr. Park Soo-jin's voice came through the comm system. You need to see this. Han Wu pushed himself along the corridor using the emergency handholds. The bridge was a mess of sparking consoles and emergency lighting, but his crew was still at their stations, monitoring the unprecedented events unfolding around them. On the main screen, Admiral Vaex Kree and Hivemind Node Gorath were no longer separate entities. The harmonic resonance broadcast had done more than restore their memories. It had begun reversing the quantum accident that had split their species 800,000 years ago. Admiral Vaex Kree's crystal form now showed veins of living metal running through its geometric structure. Node Gorath's biomechanical mass had crystalline formations growing from its organic components. They were becoming what they had once been, a perfect fusion of mineral consciousness and biological adaptability. The reunion is accelerating, Engineer Choi Bo-ram reported from her damaged console. I am detecting quantum harmonization across both entire fleets. Their technologies are integrating spontaneously. Lieutenant Kim Tae-ho was monitoring communications between the formerly hostile fleets. Captain, they're sharing data, technical specifications, historical records, cultural artifacts. 800,000 years of separate development all being combined and shared freely. And they're crying, Commander Lee Dongwook added softly. Both species. I didn't know crystals could cry, but they're mourning. They're mourning all the time they lost fighting themselves. Dr. Soo-jin activated a private channel to both fleet commanders. Admiral Vaex Kree, Node Gorath, this is Dr. Park Soo-jin of the human exploration vessel. How are you feeling? The response came not from two voices, but from one harmonious combination of crystal chimes and organic warmth. We feel complete. For the first time in 800,000 years, we feel complete. We are the Velkari again. What will you do now? Han Wu asked, joining the conversation. We must heal, the unified voice replied. Our war has left scars across the galaxy. Dead worlds, consumed systems, species driven into hiding by our endless conflict. We have much to repair. Through the viewport, Han Wu watched as crystal formations began growing on the biomechanical ships, while organic components spread across the crystalline vessels. The two fleets were becoming one, a harmony of technology and biology that represented the peak of galactic civilization. Captain, Kim Tae-ho announced with amazement, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth. Somehow word about what happened here has already reached home. Put it through, Han Wu ordered. The face of Admiral Chen Wei, head of Earth's Deep Space Command, appeared on the damaged screen. Her expression mixed disbelief with pride. "Captain Han Wu," she said formally, "I have just received the most incredible report in human history. Is it true that you and your crew ended a galactic war that had been going on for 800,000 years? Yes, ma'am, Han Wu replied simply, though we had a lot of help from the combatants themselves. They wanted to remember who they used to be. We just gave them the key. Earth's entire government is in emergency session, Admiral Chen continued. The implications of your discovery are staggering. First contact with not one but two galaxy-spanning civilizations, proof of technological development beyond our wildest dreams, and now reports that both species want to establish peaceful relations with humanity. Dr. Sujin leaned forward. Admiral, there's more. Our analysis suggests there are dozens of other species in the galaxy that have been hiding from this war. With the Velkari reunified, these civilizations might emerge from isolation. My God, Admiral Chen breathed. We're talking about a complete transformation of galactic politics. A new voice joined the transmission, the harmonized tones of the reformed Velkari. Admiral Chen of Earth, we wish to speak with your leaders. The humans have given us the greatest gift possible, ourselves. We offer in return the gift of knowledge and peaceful cooperation. We would be honored, Admiral Chen replied. The Velkari continued. Captain Han Wu and his crew will be our ambassadors to humanity if they agree. They understand us better than we understood ourselves. Han Wu looked at his crew. Each of them nodded without hesitation. They had come out here to explore the unknown. Now they would help build bridges between civilizations. We accept, Han Wu said. Over the following weeks, as the Meteor's Edge underwent repairs using miraculous Velkari technology that combined crystal engineering with biomechanical regeneration, the galaxy began to change. Species that had hidden in distant sectors for hundreds of thousands of years sent tentative messages to the reunified Velkari. Trade routes that had been abandoned reopened. Worlds that had been left barren by the war began showing signs of renewal. Dr. Sujin found herself working with Velkari scientists to develop new forms of technology that could heal entire ecosystems. Engineer Choi Boram learned quantum harmonics theories that advanced human engineering by centuries. Lieutenant Kim Tae-ho trained with Velkari tacticians to develop defensive systems that could protect vulnerable worlds from any future conflicts. Commander Lee, Dong-wook became humanity's first xenocultural specialist, helping to establish communication protocols with dozens of newly emerged civilizations. Each species had its own story of hiding from the Great War, its own unique adaptations for survival, its own gifts to offer the galaxy. But perhaps the most profound change was in the Velkari themselves. The reunified species had not simply returned to their pre-war state. They had evolved beyond it. Their 800,000 years of conflict had taught them the costs of division, the value of unity, and the importance of protecting diversity rather than imposing conformity. 6 months after the 50-minute war that ended 800,000 years of conflict, Captain Han Wu stood on the observation deck of the rebuilt Meteor's Edge. The ship now incorporated both crystal and biomechanical components, making it faster, stronger, and more adaptive than any purely human technology could achieve. Through the transparent crystal biological composite viewport, he watched a sight that filled him with hope. A Velkari garden station orbited a world that had been dead for millennia. Crystal formations provided structure and permanence, while organic systems brought life and growth. Where once there had been only barren rock, green continents were taking shape beneath swirling white clouds. Magnificent, isn't it? Dr. Sujin said, joining him at the viewport. It's what they were always meant to become, Han Wu replied. Not crystal or biological, but both. Not order or chaos, but harmony. The galaxy is changing so fast, Sujin observed. 3 new species made contact just this week. The trade agreements, the technology exchanges, the cultural sharing. It's overwhelming. But good overwhelming, Han Wu said with a smile. A chime indicated an incoming priority message. The harmonized voice of the Velkari filled the observation lounge. Captain Han Wu, we have located another species in the Outer Rim territories. They call themselves the Zhan, and they have been in hiding for over 1 million years. They are requesting contact with the small humans who ended the Great War. Han Wu activated the response system. Plot a course for the Outer Rim. The Meteor's Edge is ready for another first contact mission. As the ship turned toward unexplored space, Han Wu reflected on how much had changed since that day when they had detected impossible energy readings in an empty sector. They had set out to catalog anomalies and instead had discovered that sometimes the greatest exploration was not of new worlds, but of forgotten connections between old ones. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders. But now, for the first time in 800,000 years, it was also full of hope. Behind them, crystal gardens grew in biological soil, and in the space between the stars, former enemies worked together to heal the wounds of nearly 1,000,000 years of unnecessary war. Ahead of them lay new worlds, new civilizations, and new opportunities to prove that understanding was always stronger than conflict. The Meteor's Edge accelerated toward the Outer Rim, carrying with it humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, the reminder that even the longest wars could end, and even the deepest divisions could be healed, with enough courage to try something different. In the end, it had taken only 50 minutes to end 800,000 years of war, but it would take a lifetime to build the peace that followed, and Han Wu could not wait to get started.